This is your brain on drugs.
It's what slowly happens to you when you keep smoking pot.
Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You all right?
Just say no.
Messaging in the prevention field has come a long way since the days of these images, right? These days, you're just as likely to find heart-wrenching stories of loss and despair in prevention messaging. The bereaved parent, the grieving friend. We've told many of these stories, thinking that's how we get people to pay attention. Empathy, urgency, outrage. Activating these emotions may not have the effect we think it does. In fact, they may be making our job a lot harder. Research shows that our culture understands substance use and prevention in very specific ways. It's our job to understand those trends so we can be more intentional with our own messaging and maximize impact. Before we walk through how to do that, let's first take a look at what we're up against. We know that it's common for people to think about substance use as an individual choice. In our culture, we think of the user as a singular person who got themselves in trouble with drugs or alcohol. And we tend to ignore the system, environment, or influences surrounding that person that may have led to substance misuse. This is called individualism, and it's pretty unhelpful. We think of substance use as a problem too big to solve, or worse, not worth trying to solve, because it's a rite of passage for young people, inevitable. All of these toxic ways of thinking about substance use interfere with our motivation to invest in prevention strategies. And here's the worst part. Those gut-wrenching stories of grief that we use to boost empathy for our cause, turns out that empathy is highly individualistic too. So if our messaging as a prevention field is framed by empathy, we are doing very little to move people to thinking about substance use and prevention more broadly. So, what's the solution? As prevention professionals, we have two responsibilities when it comes to getting our message out to communities. First, be strategic. And second, do no harm. The good news is, we now know more about how to do both. First, be strategic. All messaging needs to be in service to your prevention goals. Ask yourself, what is the large-scale change you seek to achieve? Is it to reduce overdose deaths and save lives? Is it to reduce substance use in HIDA communities? Or is it to create healthy and safe neighborhoods? Next, what is your unique contribution towards that change? What approach to prevention will you use? Is it law enforcement, preventing initiation of use, early intervention, harm reduction, or some combination of strategies? Now, once you've answered that, who will you target to influence that change? Is it educators, parents, policymakers? Start brainstorming targets for intervention, and then rank them in terms of who moves the needle the most. Now, take those 3 or 4 groups that you identified and decide how they can champion your cause. Do they need to spread a specific message, implement an intervention, or advocate for policy change? Speak directly. The ask should be front and center to all of your communication. And now to our second responsibility, do no harm. We now know more about what activates people toward evidence-based solutions when it comes to substance use. Connect actions now with outcomes later, then repeat. Highlight how early, more upstream prevention strategies can delay or prevent the initiation of use later on. This helps stop problems from forming or getting out of control. Define the problem and solutions collectively. Be clear about how your chosen prevention strategy advances this goal. Talk about the kind of society we want to be and how we can live up to our aspirations as a people by making sure no community is singled out or overexposed to harm. That shift in language helps people embrace a mindset that substance use prevention is for everyone, and not just those on a path toward a substance use disorder. Focus on solutions as much as you focus on the problem. Framing substance use disorders as a crisis, for example, while helpful in boosting urgency around the problem, it keeps the focus on the problem and not the solution. We know there are solutions, evidence-based interventions that work. Let's familiarize ourselves with these solutions and use them when talking about prevention. Last, appeal to emotions that inspire and ignite, not just those that make us cry. Focus less on boosting empathy and more on our connectedness and interdependence as people. We have a responsibility to get this right. Be strategic and do no harm. It's a new day in prevention communications.